Hi, my name is Florian Pühs and I'm an underpaid musician from Berlin. Yeah, Self-Art is my style was a project founded by my neighbor with Peter Hagedorn and me back in 2002 maybe. I was 16 and we were just into early 80s hardcore punk music like Minor Threat, Void, Face, some LA stuff, Adolescence, Zero Boys, and we just stole music from them and I wrote my own lyrics and we put some songs together and recorded them with another friend who was a really good drummer and put out a demo. That's It's difficult to sum it up because it went so really quick. We had a very vivid punk scene in Münster with a record shop, Green Hell, and as I said, we were just there with the right music at the right time. We were putting out the demo and it got a lot of attention for it being like quite different from what other bands were playing at that time. We were like really raw early 80s hardcore stuff, very simple, very fast. And there was a wave of that stuff coming from the States, a lot of bands from the States coming to Europe touring with this kind of music. And we just fit perfectly to open for these bands. And so already our first show was like in Bremen, which is 1.5 hours away from where we were from where I was born. And we got so much attention right away. It just went really quick, and immediately there was people who said like, okay, we're gonna do a 7-inch, a single, and they just got us like a day to record, and we didn't really think about it. There was no time to think about it, or not even time to write songs. I remember we were writing half the EP 2 or 3 days before we actually went to the studio. And then later on, Tapete Records from the States, who's owned by Mark McCoy, who's in the scene since the early 90s and who's also quite a well-known artist who, I think he's like doing stuff in New York a lot, in Brooklyn, and having some exhibitions and releasing books right now. He saw us live when he was on tour with his band Das O's, and he re-released Surf Nazis Must Die in the States after the band had already quit. There was a label back then in San Francisco called 625 Records, 625 Thrash, I think it was called, and they released Japanese and American bands that played really fast stuff, and also European bands. There was like the power violence scene, it was called, bands that played really grind hardcore stuff, and but he tended to release more classical hardcore punk music more and more, and because it was, I don't know how it came up in the States, it was just people all of a sudden wanted to hear it, or they started playing it, and we heard about these releases very quick because of Green Hell from Münster, who was like the record shop's biggest influence on punk music in Germany, and it was just next door for us. So we heard this release and we're like, oh, listen to these guys from Cleveland, Gordon Solly motherfuckers, they sound like SSD from Boston, that's so great that they steal there. And so we just stole from Boston bands and Washington bands. There was a lot of this emo, screamo, hardcore stuff. That was shortly after Refused was dead, and everything was still very politically correct and bedeutungsschwanger, I would say in German. Too much thought about, and we just did the opposite. We didn't think about it at all, and we didn't think about like if the lyrics were provocative or if they were politically incorrect, what they were, and what we also got a lot of attention for, also negative attention. With Surfmasters and Breads, I played music that I listened to. And with Herpes it was completely different. I mean, yes, I listened to Duff, to some Neue Deutsche Welle stuff, but actually I was listening more to electronic techno music. It was a complete different approach. It's very difficult to compare it. The sound of Herpes was, in the beginning the idea was, Holger and me met at some concert, and we both didn't play in bands for quite a while, and we just wanted to do music. The goal was to go back on stage. And we had absolutely no idea what we were supposed to do. Nothing. So I recorded drum loops and he took a guitar and we just started and said like, okay, we make Deutsch Punk, because that was the first idea we had. And when Anna joined playing keyboards, it was far away from sounding like Neue Deutsche Welle or anything. But that was actually the idea of the sound, to really not think about anything or to not have anything in mind, just play and see if it fits, if it sounds cool, and stick to that. With Herpes completely. Never. I mean, sometimes we are like, okay, we should write a song. It would be cool to do something like Devo, or it would be cool to do something like Suicide. And then it's mostly me who's like stealing some stuff. The others never do that. But in general, it's just like we really do not think about the sound or what it should sound like. What I like so much about Devo is the fact that they're I think they're very outstanding about the sound. I mean, the B-52 sound like them. But actually, it's so difficult to explain why Devo sounds like they do. Like what has been there before that made them play this kind of music. And I think they are also very intuitive about their music. They are like a little more about the de-evolution program and the idea behind, and about the masquerade and stuff like that. And the music is just very simple dance music, but with a very, very unique approach. We usually write the lyrics before the music. I usually have lines where I think, okay, this is a nice line, and I could sing it like this, so the music has to be like this to fit. It has nothing to do with coquettieren. I think it's very honest if I say I don't think about it too much. It's funny because that's a good story to explain my lyrics maybe, and how they come together. As I tend to steal lines. At that time I was working for a production company, film production company, and was translating a script by, I think, Ben Hopkins. I'm not sure if the movie's ever going to be done, but he wrote a script about Heinrich Heine. And that's how I got to know about him. And I googled some of his stuff and also found this line, denke ich an Deutschland in der Nacht, and I thought this is so fucking great. And at the same time I saw something on television about a program by the right-wing party NPD who wanted to support the right-wing elite students, and started some seminars for well-educated students with right-wing beliefs, and invited them to Dresden to this program called Neue Dresdner Schule, which they thought was like their kind of Gegenstück to die Frankfurter Schule. And I just thought, like, this is so perfect. I mean, I just call the song Neue Dresdner Schule and takes the Heine line, and it's brilliant. At least in my mind. I was asked about that song a lot and about their lyrics, and I just met my ex-girlfriend in Ittenbüren, and she told me that she likes the song, but she didn't understand the lyrics at all and what they meant. Neither do I. It came together. Schwefelgelb, we talked about them before. Schwefelgelb had a comment under MySpace picture, that on MySpace had a picture with them in big t-shirts, very huge t-shirts, and some guy wrote, "Oh, this is really very Berlin." And this just pissed me off. I thought, like, this is such a stupid thing to say, and I wrote the lyrics. And I think I wrote them on some after hour. I must have been really drunk. I kept them, gave them to our bassist, and he made a song out of it.
2, 3, 4. Dieser Beat, dieser Bass, diese Monotonie, das ist very Berlin, du bist very Berlin. Dieser Klang, dieser Stil, diese Cheese, das ist very Berlin, du bist very Berlin.
Maybe I'm ironic, maybe I make fun of myself. I mean, I of course have to make fun of myself and our lyrics, because I write a lot about underpaid musicians and guys that do not really stick to what they say when it comes towards work and ambition. Yeah, let them believe what they want. Like, what is that? What is very Berlin? What does that actually mean? Like, are these big t-shirts very Berlin? It's just so, like, this is some bullshit. That's what pissed me off. Yeah? And when I produce electronic music, which is much different from DJing for me, when I produce electronic music, it's just, I do what I feel like, and I'm not like, I want to get a label now, or I'm not like, I want to have a release or anything. I just take my synthesizers and take my computer and just do whatever I think is cool. And that's very good when you compare to Herpes, where we are like, okay, we have to do an album now, the deadline is next Friday, so come on, work. Okay, we need a song, we need a single, okay, we need to do something, and this kind of thing. And with electronic music, it's, fuck it, I don't care if anyone listens to it, I'll just do it for myself. And it's like therapy, just like punk music used to be therapy for me. To vent anger, or to vent depression, or to vent happiness, everything.